Who on earth would want to invest in the communications and oil sector? This guy does. Welcome back, awesome people. In today's episode, I'll be going over two sectors that have been avoided by many investors due to not only being hit hard by the Roni, but also because they believe that the future will not rely on them as they used to, or just not in the short term. Now, you may be thinking, communications? How is that possible, Jacob Rant? Communications is more in demand than ever. Well, I will explain what I mean by that, but first let's briefly look at what is going on that has been affecting these two sectors and why their share prices have been either dropping or stagnated for the past few years. Well, the beating received by the oil market in 2020 due to the pandemic triggered an economic downturn, which created national lockdowns, limited mobility, and lower consumer confidence. Oil prices took an inevitable beating, and this beating totally wiped out around a decade of growth, and a bounce back in 2021 is likely as the easing of human and economic misery courtesy of the rollout of vaccines. And even if a recovery in aviation fuel demand is unlikely in the eyes of some for another many years, petrochemical, industrial, and emerging market ground transportation demand will help with this market recovery. Simply put, oil remains wounded but not dead. The oil and gas industry is comprised of companies involved in the exploration, extraction, refining, and transportation of oil and gas products. The industry also includes oil and gas companies that provide drilling and well maintenance services. And since the mid to late 1990s, yes, I totally confused some of my viewers with that year. But around like 1996, a push for environmental changes began to pick up in the mainstream, such as reducing water use at home by closing the taps when not using it, and highlighting the effects of air pollution. And soon after, the push for reducing emissions started to begin, whether it was from cars or from large companies. And this began the research and development of electric and rechargeable technologies at the mainstream level. From rechargeable AA batteries to solar panels, there was a big need for alternative to gas and oil. And since the mid-2000s, oil has been less and less in demand because of the environmental lobbying. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe in alternative energies, but oil is not going anywhere. The factories and warehouses that build electric technologies such as solar panels, batteries, and windmills still require plenty of oil and gas to operate. So oil and gas is definitely here to stay, but investors are being scared away from oil and gas because it is going to be obsolete or will not be needed anytime. Now take a look at this short clip by Munger on what he thinks about the oil sector.
I think the oil and gas industry will be here for a long time. As a matter of fact, it'll be here for a long time if we stop using much hydrocarbons in transportation. Hydrocarbons are also needed as chemical feedstocks. And I don't think that hydrocarbons are going, I'm not saying that oil and gas is going to be a wonderful business, but I don't think it's going away.
And this is why I created this video, to dismiss these fear-mongering rumors about oil and gas, and to highlight the great long-term opportunity that oil and gas are right now, as prices are still at lows. So get bullish on that subscribe button for the YouTube algorithm, smash all the likes, bells, and whistles to help the channel grow and to get all my updates on these fantastic investments, and comment below with what you think, because I do reply to every comment. And the communication sector. Well, as you can see from the various top communication companies and looking at their 5-year chart, you can see that basically all of them have been consistently stagnated in share price. And of course, they all took their massive dips in 2021 due to the pandemic, but many of them are still at their lows. And for the most part, they have just chilled out and not created any major movements. And that is a good thing, because one of the main reasons that the communication sector has not been exciting or rising the past 5 years is because of the transitioning to 5G technology and also adjusting to the changing landscape of communication and entertainment, as all these communication companies also have an entertainment division. The realization that streaming services are taking over cable TV, home phones are being replaced with mobile phones, satellite pretty much non-existent as it is being replaced by branded channel boxes, and the change of focus from entertainment and viewership to internet and reliability. The internet has become the lifeline of our society now, as we need it for working from home, transferring files and graphics across the world, and the internet has now become part of every company's business model. The majority of our daily lives revolve around the internet. Without the internet, life will pretty much come to a slowdown. So these communication companies for the past few years are being challenged with these new changes that they have to adapt to, as they are selling, acquiring, managing debt, and preparing for the future, while at the same time competing with emerging communication companies who already have these new changes in place. And 5G technologies are becoming more accessible, so these new infrastructures and systems that they changed will be fully in place. So now that we got all the boring history lesson out of the way, why invest in oil and communications now? Well, here is my opinion on why oil and gas will be great investments moving forward, now that we have a better idea of how the oil and communication sector were affected by the pandemic. Firstly, oil and gas is not going anywhere. Let me repeat that, not going anywhere. In the US, solar energy production surged to 90 billion, with a B, kilowatt hours from almost zero in 2005. And wind power grew to 300 billion. Great numbers, eh? But still, these so-called renewables are only a fraction of the 4.1 trillion total energy generated in the nation. And what's more, the sun doesn't always shine. The wind doesn't always blow. Solar and wind are pretty much confined to power generation. Electrical vehicles, which are hooked up to the electrical grid, comprise only 2% of the US auto fleet, and will rise to almost 10% by 2025. And gasoline and diesel, well, guess what? Will run the other 90%. And by 2050, the Energy Information Institute estimates that renewables will make up 28% of global energy consumption, almost double the amount in 2018, which is at about 15%. Notice that it is not 100% or anything close. Petroleum will be at 27%, then natural gas at 22%. For example, let's take Exxon, the world's largest producer by market capitalization at almost $250 billion. Its shares peaked at $101 in 2013, then slid 25% by 2015 as a glut sent oil prices skidding. As the oversupply dwindled somewhat, the stock recovered to $93 the next year, but began a slow fall amid the fracking boom, where many independent operators flooded the world with cheap, plentiful oil. And now, Exxon stock is stabilized at around $50 during this pandemic. Still, its resources are great, easily sufficient to weather the current storm that we are in, and meanwhile, investors can continue to enjoy Exxon's dividends with a 6% yield, and their management is committed to keeping its payouts going. Remember, at some point this pandemic will end, and for better or worse, oil and gas will still be in high demand. Buying Exxon or another stock like it will pay off. Go oil! Now, the communication sector. The communication sector is comprised of a broad range of companies that sell phone and internet services via traditional landline, broadband, or wireless, and the sector also includes companies that are major creators and producers of movies, movies, television shows, and other content. Well-known companies in the communications sector include Verizon, at&t, and Comcast. And the pandemic, of course, since everyone is now at home, has sharply boosted user activity for many entertainment and streaming services. And 5G wireless, the technology that will supposedly take us to the next level of intertwining people and technology, will be more widespread through 2021 as companies scale up production of its 5G equipped technologies. 5G has emerged as a hot investment as major wireless carriers have been upgrading to the next gen technology for over 3 years now, and consumer adoption is picking up. As 5G adoption grows, it will have a positive impact on demand across a wide range of companies, ranging from semiconductors and tower infrastructure companies, testing equipment manufacturers, and wireless carriers. 5G technology is also used in broader applications beyond smartphones, potentially in automation, driverless cars, healthcare, and smart cities. For example, just recently, legendary investor Warren Buffett's company Berkshire Hathaway bought almost $9 billion with a B dollars worth of Verizon shares in the past few months. And Buffett's rationale was that it's a cheap value stock with a high dividend that has traditionally been very stable, but also moving forward, Verizon has also had a long reputation of having the best 4G network, and now in the switch to 5G, Verizon has pursued the strategy of rolling out the very highest speeds with its millimeter wave ultra wideband rollout. The company, Verizon, has also cemented its premium image with partnerships and cross promotions with A-list brands like Disney Plus, Apple Music, and Discovery Plus. And Verizon also leases the leading networks to other companies, offering mobile plans to other customers to bundle with broadband as landline phones are starting to die off. And these are moves that Berkshire saw as potential for future adaptation and growth. And shares of Verizon jumped when it was revealed that Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway took a major stake in this communication stock, as they see the value in 5G, even though this is a stock that is barely mentioned in the mainstream and many people write it off as a boring company. So to summarize, oil and communication is going through a rough patch, just like many other sectors, currently, as both sectors are making great adjustments and changes to their business model to adapt to this new green and digital world. The oil sector is dealing with compliance to environmental legislations, and with the current administration of North America, both countries have vowed to be great leaders in environmental causes, and this will continue to limit the growth of oil companies unless they decide to go outside of North America. But in the meantime, buy them at the low prices and enjoy the consistent dividends. So whatever your reasoning is for not investing in oil, simply put, you should not write it off. And I am not leading a cheer for fossil fuels. A world with 100% clean energy, or at least some significant percentage, would be wonderful. But as things stand currently, oil and gas energy sources will be around for some time, and investing in them makes sense, makes absolute sense. And to see what oil stocks I will be buying and selling in my portfolio, you can follow me on my Twitter at Jacob Rant. Again, that's Jacob Rant, where I post daily, and get bullish on that subscribe button to get all my updates on these fantastic investments, and comment below with what oil stocks you are watching, because I do reply to every comment. Now, for the communication sector, it will be a little bit more complicated as the whole sector needs to adapt and change to this new world. Streaming services, interactive gaming, mobile devices, and high-speed internet will be the main focus of these communication companies moving forward, as they trim off the dead services such as home phone, satellite, cable TV, and of course, the dead and gone dial-up internet. So the changes that these communication companies are currently going through will be to fit in with society's future systems. So the communication sector is going to be starting to take off. I am still buying and loading up on both oil and the communications sector now, as they are two sectors that will always be in demand regardless of the environmental lobbying and the massive makeover of the communications sector. And if you want to know exactly what stocks I will be buying or I am buying, follow me on my Twitter. Again, it's Jacob Rant, where you will see my daily buys and sells. And who doesn't love free money? So if you want free money to trade with and $0 commission that won't eat into your profits, sign up with my Wealthsimple link down in the description box for $25 of free real money to trade with. So again, I am not a financial advisor, so make sure you do your own research and consult your own financial professional. Thanks. There is so much wealth out there for all of us to get a piece of. So by allowing our hard-earned money make us more money is the key to wealth and the key to financial success. So subscribe, like, and share to help out this channel, and so you will get notified of when I go on YouTube Live or of my recent posts, as I will be posting my penny stocks, my REITs, dividends, and speculative stocks from my portfolio and investments that I am buying and selling. And again, follow me on Twitter at Jacob Rant so you can see my daily plays. Also check out my recent update of my journey of turning $100 to $1,000 through Wealthsimple trade. So subscribe. I want everyone to have the opportunity to get out of this work-life trap by buying back their freedom through investing. So let's all ride 2021 together on a journey of health, love, success. So until the next video, stay ranting.